Joining us. My name is Carrie. Now I'm going to do things a little differently tonight. Before we start the live, I thought it was important to just remind everybody that mental health is not a laughing matter. You can search hashtag MHM or hashtag not alone, and you can find the National Association for Mental Health Organization, which is NAMI.org. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to reach out for help with it. Reach out to someone if you're not feeling well, or contact NAMI.org, NAMI.org. There may also be other organizations in your area locally. My point is, let's not take it lightly. So take a moment to take care of you. Turn off the TV, walk outside, listen to the birds, look up at the sky, look at the landscape. I mean, you'd be surprised at how sometimes just a moment of taking a deep breath in and letting it go will turn your day around. And why am I saying all this today? Well, because in our topic today, we are going to discuss one of the many criminals in the United States who claim mental illness was the cause of their felonies. But we all know this to be untrue with most of them. And in this one, we will have some clarity by the end of the day, because in my second video that I'm dropping today, we're going to discuss what the professionals say about Dorow Brooks and his behavior. So let's get started.
Is this your mom? All right, so I can see Dawn Woods on the Zoom. Miss Woods, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
All right, thank you. I know you have your camera on. You're unmuted. There are two other individuals on the Zoom. They currently have their cameras off. I believe they're both muted. I would just simply ask that we take one person in turn. You are on the Zoom. It is viewable in the courtroom. I want to acknowledge, ma'am, I did receive what I believe is a written statement that you faxed to the court.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and then if that is, I'm not sure who joined us at the moment. All right, is that Ms. Edwards? All right, Ms. Edwards, if you could please, I'm going to have Ms. Woods talk first, and then I'll have you next. If you could keep your camera off and your microphone muted until it's your turn to talk. That way I can give my full attention to Ms. Woods.
Sure.
There we go. Very good. Thank you. All right. So once again, Ms. Woods, I believe you sent in a fax yesterday. Is that right?
No, I believe it was this morning.
Oh, this morning. All right. I have
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
and I've read it.
All right, so let's read this letter that I have up here. And I'm going to put it up on screen while we're talking. All right, part one says, so I'll pop that picture up there while I'm reading this to you guys. Dear Judge Dorow, I didn't watch the victim's statements yesterday. I just couldn't. Okay, so this is dated November. This is after the impact statements. Dear Judge Dorow, I didn't watch the victim's statements yesterday. I just couldn't. I needed to protect my heart. I'm writing this because I want you to know, and the victims and their families to know, that I know their pain and I understand how hurt they are and how they need to let it be known how they feel. And then she goes on to say Darrell's behavior shows him to be unfeeling and not caring is not accurate. I see a person who is broken, unmedicated. I see a person who is broken, unmedicated, and one who doesn't have the ability to control his actions or his emotions. He's become emotionally unattached to what's happening. His illness is probably, he's become unattached to his emotions. let's see, his actions on his emotions, his becoming emotionally unattached to what's happening, his illness is prohibiting to completely understand and come contact and contact as he should in his something. He is not doing anything wrong. I'm sorry, what he showed in his something, his not doing anything wrong. What is that word, y'all? If you can see what that word is, I don't know what that word is. What is that word? I have stated before his his unstable is not on any medication to help stable and settle his mind. So what is seen in court is not a person who has no remorse. It's a mentally ill, unmedicated person who has become detached from reality. So please do not fault him for his action. It's his illness. And she ends the letter with just Don Woods. Not respectfully, not sincerely, not nothing, just Don Woods. So that was a letter she sent the judge before he was sentenced. And the judge did address that in the sentencing.
Go ahead. What would you like to tell the court? And thank you for being with us today.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon. I have two things I would like to tell. One is a written statement, Your Honor, and then I have a poem I would like to read after my statement, if that's permissible. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Mental illness affects everyone. It destroys lives, families, and hurts society. For far too long, it's been a dirty little secret in families that no one wants to talk about. Mental illness is the elephant in the room that so many pretend it's not there. People who suffer from it are often shunned by families and friends, rejected by society, and made fun of, the subject of bad jokes, ridiculed, and judged on YouTube, podcasts, Facebook, and other media posts, used in campaign ads, disrespected, stripped of their dignity. No one cares. No one sees their pain or hears their cries and pleas for help. They are the forgotten ones and viewed by many of not having a place in society. It is no fault of their own that they have become ill and began to change from the person we all knew. Once viewed as fun, loving, and kind, are now the outcasts of society. We say they're what's wrong with society? They're idiots, unfit. They need to be disposed of, thrown out with the rest of the trash. They serve no purpose. The same my brother's keeper doesn't apply to them. And the Bible in the book of Philippians chapter 2, verse 4, it says, let each of you not look only to his own interests, but also the interests of others. Mental illness caused them to do the unthinkable. They must be punished. Yes, I agree. There should be some accountability for their actions. But we also must render help. What good is punishment without correction to prevent the act from happening again? In their cases, or many of their cases, treatment, therapy, medication, hospitals, and institutions that specialize in helping those who suffer with mental illness need to be offered. And I believe these places can help those who suffer become mentally well. I believe lawmakers and society as a whole need to recognize mental illness. Mental illness cannot be eradicated with prison bars. Mental illness is going to always be there. It's invasive. With treatment and therapy, medication, and hospitals and institutions that specialize in the treatment of mental illness, it can be controlled. What else can we do as a society to help those who suffer from mental illness? How about showing a little compassion, empathy, and some understanding? Families need to advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves or who struggle to understand what's happening to them. Lawmakers should support by providing resources to individuals so they can get the help they need. Now, I've been dealing with mental illness for over 30 some odd years, and here's my take on it. And I think I have a little insight on it. From the surface, I believe that treatments need to be offered. I believe that if treatment is offered early when the signs of mental illness first shows, and it's addressed and stayed on top of, instead of let people lagger and fall through the cracks, just maybe there would be less court cases and less people crying because their loved ones was hurt or was injured or killed because someone of mental illness attacked them. Maybe that needs to be done. Treatment needs to be done early and right away and stayed up on, and not let people fall through the crack holes and not be shunned out the door as the same, you don't have a mental illness, you're just a bad person and needs to be locked up. Jail is not the only answer. Help, treatment, hospitalization, and medication, it plays a big role in preventing this where we are today if it would have been offered sooner. Now, I have a poem that I have adopted, not just for my son Dorow, but for all the people who suffer from mental illness. And I let this be my theme and some inspiration. And I hope that Dorow will find strength in this poem. I sent it to him. And it's a poem that was written by the late, great Maya Angelou. I don't know if you're familiar with her writings, but she was a brilliant poet. And she wrote this poem back in 1969 for a totally different reason. It was during the racial injustice era, but I believe it applies to those who suffer from mental illness as well. It's called Caged Bird. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to touch the sky. But a caged bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, and he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with fearful thrill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds that when soft winds with soft signs through the trees, and the fat worms waiting on the dawn's bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts or the nightmare scream, Their wings are clipped. Their feet are tied. They open their mouths to sing. The caged bird sings of fearful thrills, of things unknown, but longed for still. And its tune is heard on a distant hill. The caged birds sing of freedom. Everyone who suffers from mental illness is caged. All they want is to be free of their illness and become mentally well. I believe as society we have an obligation to help those become mentally well with treatment, medication, hospitalization, or sent to an institution where they can get the intense help. And if they have to stay for the rest of their lives away from society, at least they are getting the help they need to become mentally well. We are our brother's keepers. And I also want to say to the families who lost loved ones that and those who suffered injuries, that I know their pain, and I pray that the Lord will continue to comfort and heal each of them. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Woods, and I should have said this earlier. I have three monitors in front of me, and the monitor that I'm pointing at right now is the monitor that the Zoom shows up, so that's why I look like I'm turned away, but I'm actually watching you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Then I'll turn, if you want to take her camera.
Okay, now let's turn our attention to a few articles that we found where the mother of Dorow Brooks has spoken to some news outlets. This first article comes from ABC 7 Eyewitness News. I can see the storm coming. Waukesha parade attack suspect's mom shares fears ahead of trial. Just days before Dorow Brooks' trial, his mother is opening up about her concerns for what her son is capable of and what he might do in court. Just so you guys know, this was October 1st of 2022. Jury selections begins Monday. He's wanting to represent himself on dozens of counts, and his mother, Dawn Woods, predicts a quick trial. Did you hear that? His mother, Dawn Woods, predicts a quick trial, saying her son has no defense. I think she forgot about his mouth. She says Brooks suffers from mental illness and she's angry with the judge for allowing him to represent himself. She does not think it will go well. She said, I can see the storm coming. The storm she fears is another emotional, manic outburst from her son, Dorow Brooks, once his homicide trial begins. She said, he's been, oh, wait, I'm sorry. She says she has seen him shouting, acting out. It's throwing chairs. It's destroying things. It's all the above. It's like someone setting off a time bomb. Dawn has been trying to defuse that time bomb for 40 years. Has she really? She speaks with Brooks every day from jail, but she says recently his tone has changed. The stress and pressure are getting to him. She hears he's completely apart, headed toward a psychotic breakdown. I've been hearing Dorow slowly slipping for the past 2 months. Brooks has bipolar disorder and personality disorder, and they didn't say this in the article, but I'm going to say it here. Allegedly, we know now he doesn't after the doctors have their take on that. Dawn says without his medication, Brooks gets explosive when he panics or is afraid. And she said the manic episodes can last for days or months. I don't know when the manic is going to end or how far it's going to go. I think we all saw it go pretty much as far as you could possibly imagine it going, Dawn. Just going to put that out there. Wood said she recognizes it manifesting this week when he filed to represent himself in court and release his attorneys. He just said, well, hey, I might as well just do it myself since nobody is trying to my concerns. Now Brooks will be alone at the defendant's table, and he'll likely have little support in the courtroom. Um, Actually, he had none. Dawn will not be at the trial in the audience. She said, as his mother, I cannot sit there and watch those people just rip him to shreds. She said that, y'all. She said that. She knows he faces a lot of hatred in Waukesha, and she said he gets hate mail in jail. But she still feels that for the victims and their families, saying, I give them my condolences. I am so sorry for what happened, and I will continue to pray for them. When asked if she feels her son is dangerous, Dawn Wood said she feels he's more of a danger to himself. Yeah, I think we're going to disagree with you on that one right there, too, Dawn. Let's see what else we can find here. Let's listen to this article. I think we've seen this before.
I asked Darrell Brooks's mother, Dawn Woods, about how she felt about today's verdict. Her son found guilty on all counts.
Do I think it's fair? No. You know, I don't know why they couldn't go into concurrent sessions instead of just, he would not live 6 life sentences.
What do you think he should have got?
I don't know what they just say he deliberately killed those people. He did not deliberately kill those people. It hurts more than anything.
What do you think he's thinking? Have you talked to him?
I did, but I won't share.
Okay. Did you talk to him yesterday?
No, he called me today after he got out of court. We talked briefly.
He probably was crying, or she won't share because he was going off on how everybody has wronged him.
Hopefully, this will bring awareness to mental illness via our senators and our governors and elected officials, court, police. Very little help is done for individuals who are incarcerated with mental illness.
How do you feel right now?
Right now, I just want to curl up and die. That's how I feel right now. I just want to go somewhere, just curl up, but I can't. As long as my child is alive, I have to stay alive.
And I asked, will she be at her son's sentencing? And she said, no, it's just too difficult to watch.
She wasn't.
Guess it was, I don't know. I know most of you guys that watch this are going to be on the chat. I know that you guys are going to say that he's a monster and she's responsible and I just keep, I think that she is remorseful. I think that she also 100% concerned for her son. You know what? I'm going to leave that commentary part up to you guys because I'm just irritated with it. I'm irritated and I'm torn. I really am. The part of me that wants to believe that someone can't do that was the same part of me that can't believe that Dorow did what he did without no motive whatsoever. Um, it doesn't allow me to think that she is a bad person, Dawn Woods. And y'all are gonna go at me at the chat in the chat, I know, but there's part of me that says no, and then there's another part of me that says, woman, this child, this kid, this man was a child up to a certain age, and he was under your control. And while you had him under that control, you should have done something more than what you did. She was trying to work 2 jobs to feed her family. We know that from what we've previously seen and read. So her hands were tied, but it seems like as much as she was involved in church and everything else, why wasn't someone helping her figure out a way to get him into some type of, uh, straight, what do they call those programs where they straighten them up? I don't understand. I just feel like part of it is like if he needed to be on meds, which I believe Darrell Brooks does need to be on meds. If he needed to be on meds, according to her, then her take on this is that she controlled it as much as she could with prescriptions up until the point to where he got old enough to where he could not take them anymore. He didn't want to take them anymore. He stopped taking them, and she couldn't make him take them anymore. So, in that part of it, sh she cannot control when he gets to become a teenager and he starts hiding things and, he says he takes it and he doesn't. Probably throw them away. He'll probably throw the pill away and his mother thinks he took it. You know what I mean? Like, there's all that when you're talking about a teenager. So I get that point, but how do you raise somebody that does that and not see it coming? Uh, I don't know. I really want to err on the side of caution with this. Please don't send any negative emails or anything like that to the mother. At the end of the day, she's not the one that did the crime. And if the world we lived in felt like she was responsible for him at his age, then she would also be going to jail. But she's not. Did she fail as a mother? I don't know. We don't know all the circumstances. We weren't there during that time period. But part of me says that if she had done everything she could do to get him help, then she would have already been talking about that and how she couldn't get the help because of one thing or another, whether it was money or they turned him down in the programs or whatever it was. If that happened, I think she would be putting that in this interview. And you don't see that. You just see her say, "Well, I knew he was that way and I tried to keep it under control, but I couldn't." So I'll let you guys box it out and chat because I know you are right now. All right, let's find some other pieces here. Ooh, this doesn't sound good. Parade suspect mother said she wants to avoid trial circus. Reached by phone Friday evening, Dawn Wood said her son is in a manic state and should not be allowed to represent himself in his own homicide trial. In the final days before the trial for the man accused of unaliving 6 people in 2021 Waukesha Christmas parade, the suspect's mother spoke publicly for the first time about the trial. She predicts it will be a media circus. I will not be in a city, in a building where there is so much hate and watch them demoralize and dehumanize my son, she said by phone on Friday. Woods said she and her family have endured relentless harassment since her son was arrested. She said her son does, in fact, suffer from mental illness, and she says it again, bipolar disorder, which we know is untrue. That, on top of her son having no legal experience, Woods said even though it's her son's constitutional right to represent himself at trial, does not mean he should. He has no business representing himself. I don't understand that, she said. So she's blaming the courts that they're allowing him to do it. Go figure. When asked if she asked her son to reconsider the decision, Woods replied, Dorow is in a manic state right now. I don't know if you know anything about people with bipolar, but when they are in a manic state of bipolar, you can't reason with them because their mind is not even thinking rationally. If he is in a manic state of bipolar, then he's in it 24/7, as far as what we've seen, right? Woods says her son does not talk about the day in detail. Well, of course not, because he wants to not remember it. He told me he doesn't remember what happened. It's all a blur to him. He just remembers bits and pieces. Have you ever done something in your past that maybe you regret and maybe you don't fully remember all the circumstances around it? And then you are talking to a friend one day and they remind you of what you did? That's happened to me before. And I had totally put it out of my mind because I didn't want to remember how badly I acted. So in my mind, I was like, did that happen? That didn't happen, did it? And trust me, I've been to a doctor. I'm 100% sane. It's just another example of how our mind copes, helps us cope with things. Uh, Despite the mental state Woods described her son, court records indicate Brooks withdrew his insanity plea less than a month before the October 3rd scheduled start of the trial. We know all of that. And according to Woods, her son told her that the decision was at the suggestion of his public defenders. They probably got tired of dealing with him and said, look, if you think all this, then you need to just defend yourself. Those lawyers have since been asked to be taken off the case at Brooks' request, leaving Woods with the reality she may never see her son free again. Do you honestly think, Mama, that you would have seen him had he had a real lawyer? Now, if she's going to blame, she does point the blame in other directions other than her son always. So now it's the attorneys that it's their fault that he defended himself. And had they been on the case, she believes he probably would have had a shot in hell, which I'm sorry, honey, he did not. When I was getting his clothes ready for trial, I felt like I was getting his clothes ready for his funeral. I knew then I was burying my child. She's getting his clothes ready for trial. I thought that was a borrowed suit. Now that's very interesting, guys. Very interesting. Maybe, you know what? Maybe like pieces, maybe the shirt underneath was his, but I think those daggum suit jackets were not his. There's no way those suit jackets were his, y'all. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right, we got a couple here, so hang on. This is where she's going to speak with
Dorow Brooks's mother is sharing her opinions on the verdicts today.
This is from an ABC, the local ABC station.
The hate was stopped, the hate mail was stopped, the hate emails that I was receiving was stopped, and people's hearts began to heal. My heart still goes out to the family. My condolences to all of them, but I hope that they can begin to heal.
Dawn Woods, the mother of Dorow Brooks, says she did not watch the verdict live today, but learned from loved ones of her son's conviction and says she's not surprised. When your son said that he didn't mean this wasn't intentional, did you believe him?
I know my son. I know it wasn't intentional. People who are mentally ill need help. And community, family, loved ones, the court system need to give them the help that they need.
I think I've watched that. Well, I think I've actually shown that on a previous video that I did with you guys.
Another day of.
Why should I sit silent?
Oh, wait, let me turn this off. Now, this one I thought was just the most ridiculous thing ever. She's trying to cover her head and her face up so she's not recognizable.
I sit silent and let people paint him as a monster and treat him like he's nothing but a sewer rat when I know that is not my son.
What message do you have for the families that are left of the victims who died?
I just want them to know that that was not a deliberate act.
But the video shows him going and not stopping. How some people will ask, how is that not deliberate?
I asked him that question. And he said, Mama, I don't know. He said, I don't know what I was doing. I don't know. He doesn't know. He can't answer that. I wished the police could have shot out the tires, something. But he can't tell me. I can't tell you. Only God knows.
Is he remorseful?
We talk about the family often and the victims. And he says to me that he prays for them too. And he has to live with the fact that 6 people died because of him. He's full of shame.
Do you feel responsibility that?
Yes. If I would have just not bailed him out, none of this would have happened.
If he feels remorse, why the antics in court?
The antics in court is mental illness.
Is there anything you can say to tell him to stop?
I have told him.
Will you continue to?
I will continue to tell him.
You think Daryl should go to prison, and if so, how long?
There should be some accountability to what he did. Yes, ma'am. How long? That's not for me to say.
And let's look at the media letter to the media.
The $1,000 bail for the driver in the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy got that low because of an overworked assistant. At least that's what the top prosecutor in Milwaukee is saying. The prosecutor announced today that his young assistant never saw Daryl Brooks' risk assessment. On November 19th, Brooks posted a $1,000 bail in a domestic violence case. 2 days later, he was accused of intentionally driving through the parade route, killing 6 people. And tonight, his mother penned a letter saying her son has battled mental health issues since he was young.
All right. Here's the full letter that was just mentioned. My Lord spoke to my heart this morning and said to me, it is time to speak. I've been contacted by numerous media outlets for a statement and have until now been reluctant to speak because of the way that my family and I have been attacked in the media, and whatever I say will be taken out of context. She said content, but I think she means context. It is my hope that what I am about to say does, spelled wrong, not get edited and will be made public in its entirety. Obviously, they didn't edit it. Okay. We, the family of Dorow Brooks, want to give our condolences to the family of those whose lives were taken, so tragically taken, and all of those who were injured, as well as the community of Waukesha. We are deeply saddened and our hearts are torn to pieces over what happened on a day set aside for a community to come together and celebrate. What was meant to be a joyous day became a day of tragedy and heartache, a day that we wish with all our heart would have never happened. And then she goes on to say, Darrell did not come from a bad family like many people have said. He came from a loving Christian family and is the grandson of ministers. Darrell has suffered from mental health issues since he was very young. In those years, he received counseling and was on medication. When he became an adult, a decision was made that he no longer suffered from a mental illness. That decision left him with no insurance or financial means to pay for medication, and when determined necessary counseling. Mental illness is not cheap to treat, but what's more important, dollars spent on treatment and recourse or lives lost. Wait, let me reread that. Mental illness is not cheap to treat, but what's more important, dollars spent on treatment and recourse or lives lost. Instead of offering help and resources to combat the problem, a jail cell was given. So, see, she's blaming it on somebody else. Over and over again. When mental illness is not properly treated, the person becomes sicker and sicker. It doesn't go away once a person becomes an adult. We are not making excuses, but we believe what has happened is because he was not given the help and resources he needed. Institutions that are equipped and have trained staff is what was needed, as well as resources in the communities where people who suffer with mental illness live. Jail is not the answer because they get released back in society sicker than what they were when they entered. We all see that what a tragedy that can turn out to be. Well, we won't have to worry about that anymore, Dawn. We as a society must take mental illness seriously by fixing a broken system or suffer the consequences. Sad as it is to say, what happened in Waukesha will keep happening all over the country in one form or another, with more innocents' lives lost and grieving families and communities. Mental illness is real and the system is broken. It can and must be fixed now, not next year or with a new legislation now. So many like Darrell have fallen through the cracks because of a broken system that no one cared to address, can get the help they so desperately need. Well, there's so many of them, they just have to throw them in jail. They can't do anything else with them. Mental illness affects every walk of life and dwells in every community. It lives in our homes, it lives next door, it's in our schools, the grocery store, shopping malls, movie theater, and other places of entertainment and places of worship, and many other places in our communities, even at parades. What next, you say? First, our hearts have to heal, and we have to come together, roll up our sleeves, and get to work and do whatever is necessary to fix a system that has far too long been broken. Myself and my family pray that our Lord and Savior Jesus comfort and strengthen each other and give you all peace that is beyond understanding. I also ask respectfully that the media please to not invade my home nor to call or send emails. Myself and my family need our time to grieve as well. May God bless each and every one of you, Don Woods and family. So, what do you guys think? Do you think that it was a case of, was it a perfect storm of people just, because I do think that at some point somebody should have caught on to this before now. We know he should have never been let out of jail. So the court did make a mistake there. Okay. Well, after hearing all of that, I wanted to go into a bit here that was done in court. I've done two clips that are so ridiculous. So the next video we're going to drop is the one where the judge in the portion of the sentencing discusses the reports that she received from the psychiatrist and their diagnosis of Dorow Brooks. Until then, let's watch these heartwarming moments of remorse. And I do say that with air quotes, by the way.
She had passed.
You mean when you went up and saw her?
Yes.
You felt she was either
They're speaking of Jane Coolidge.
dead or close to death?
My gut feeling in that was that she had passed.
You mean when you went up and saw her?
Yes.
You felt she was either.
So my next clip is going to begin on day 8. Now, this is Adam Bonesteel. He was the driver of the Citizens Bank float.
Did you learn later that Jane passed away due to her injuries from this collision?
We did learn that later. My gut feeling in that was that she had passed.
You mean when you went up and saw her?
Yes.
You felt she was either dead or close to death?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions for you.
All right, Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
I do. Whew.
Really? I mean, it's so overboard that it's just so fake.
I apologize. I just needed a quick second.
And the Oscar goes to Dorow Brooks. All right, let's watch the second video. Okay, so this next one is also very interesting. You'll see here that as this gentleman is testifying, Brooks refuses to watch the screen. They're watching the video. I want to say this is the aftermath of them scuffling around, trying to help the little boys from the Blazers or the Waukesha Blazers. They're the young boys' baseball team. And this witness is Jeff Rogers, who is the president of the Waukesha Blazers. And apparently, a lot of these kids were on bikes when they were riding through the parade, which I thought was kind of neat that they all had, some of them had brought their bikes to ride through the parade rather than just walking. This is the group that Jackson was in. And as we all know, Jackson passed away. So this man shows, he looks like he's angry when he's on the stand, but honestly, I think he's just that way. He's just kind of doesn't show his emotions on his face or anything. But at the same time, I felt like while he was staring at Brooks through some of this, he wanted to just jump off that witness stand and go after him because it was ridiculous.
Permission to publish it and admit Exhibit 31 into evidence. 27.
Oh, and this occurred on day 7, October the 11th was the day they did this.
And if we can play it. Play it until the end at 27 seconds. Does that accurately depict the path of the vehicle as it was striking the Blazers members?
Yes.
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to take a mid-morning break at this point, about 15 to 20 minutes. All rise for the jury, please.
See, it messed up his plan because he was going to come in and do this big emotional thing, right? Like before he got to, when he was given time to speak and cross this witness. And so this break, which I think the judge did this on purpose right here, and I love it, that she was like, you're not doing this again. We're not going to have this. Fake remorse BS with the jury watching you.
Recess, sir.
So it really messed up his plan.
I'll be back in 20 minutes.
But we all know how Brooks is. And 20 minutes later, he still comes in and does it anyway.
Okay. So then they can show it from there.
Look at the tissue. Are you kidding me? I mean, we're talking about a man who didn't have any kind of activity. Let's make sure everybody's watching. He had no activity in his own children's lives. Well, that's probably for the best for them, you know, but.
Because he knows a lot about that. He's also not.
Are they looking?
Yeah.
Oh, let me wipe that draw spot underneath my eye right there. He's mentally getting into character as he's awaiting his turn.
You did?
I think we're about. We went off at 10:09. 10:09? All right, it's 20 minutes. All right, we will go back on. The record appearances are as they were before. I will have the jury brought out and we'll continue with the questioning of this witness.
And you know, I have to back up because
Judicial determination you made about the jurisdiction?
I thought I was very clear, sir.
So will proof be validated?
Your request is denied.
are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Okay, I have to go back because I want to say something. I regress. I think that she probably gave time for everybody because it was so emotional because they were discussing because we didn't watch that part right here in this clip. They discussed a very sensitive moment in the trial. So she wanted to give everybody a moment to get themselves together. Maybe she didn't do it for his benefit. But I am just so angry that he freaking asked that right there. I just can't, I just can't believe he did that. Oh, my word.
On what legal basis, Your Honor?
The record stands, sir.
Is that a judicial determination?
And of course, him not having the remorse, he also doesn't know when it's appropriate to bring certain things to light and to discuss certain items. So, of course, he's going to bring this up.
My ruling was put on the record earlier, sir.
Why is it so loud?
So that is a judicial determination.
All rise.
Oh, here we go. Get back into character because the jury's coming in.
Come here for a second.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, I think it's turned it down. That's much better.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Mr. Brooks, you may start your questioning of this witness then.
Just a second. I'm gonna
Go back into character. So the jury can see all this. Because I rehearsed this in my cell last night.
sorry about that. I just needed a second.
You can throw your fake tissue away. Yep, there's nothing to wipe. And the jury knows it.
I apologize to the witnesses. A little emotional right now for me, so I apologize to the court as well for the delay.
And of course, he goes right back into his normal character of questioning the witness, says, and being inappropriate. Good old Scrappy Doo. This is probably a good time to close this out. I'm sorry, I'm leaving on a somber note, but at the same time, before the end of the day, I am dropping another one, and it is going to be kind of a continuation of this one because we're going to hear from Judge Dorow in the sentencing about what the professionals said about Darrell's mental health. So stay tuned and make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you'll be notified when we go live or upload our next video. Thanks for joining in, everyone. You guys have a blessed day. Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody who stuck in there with me and waited for me to get that video downloaded. I still think it was shaky. So I got to check some stuff on my end. I don't know why my videos are coming up shaky. That bothers me a lot. Let's see. I want to thank you guys for being here, and I'm going to get to work right now and finish out. Yeah, I just Mel, I just sent him to the timeout spot, that Andrew guy. Um I'm trying to get this thing for Judge Dorow's sentencing done so I can play that for you guys because I wanted to do the part tonight of when she talks about his mental illness and what the professional said. So it's probably going to be it's not going to be a live, but it might be a premiere video possibly. So um, be on the lookout for it. And if it's way too late for you guys, then it'll be there tomorrow when you get back. Have a good one, you guys. We'll talk soon.